Hey folks, it's Lindsay Ellis with SPS back in the building. And where is that building at? At the Midtown Brewing Company, downtown Lansing, with the proprietor, Shawn, Elliot, good friend of mine and doing great things in the community. And also our guest today, Mr. Angus Arthur. And we're going to have a great conversation that talks about sports, that talks about business. And hey, I can't help but talk about this great space that we're in. So without any further ado, Shawn, it's great to have you back on camera again, man. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good. Always working hard. Always got something going on.
You gotta hustle. The bank's always chasing you.
Yeah, they are. Right. You and I have been able to have some great conversations over time. We spent time with great people like Desmond Ferguson, Julian Dart, and talking business. But you were able to talk to me about a great opportunity connecting sports, and not only sports in the present day, but what a life in sports can lead to. And you were so big on this young man in the middle right here, Angus Arthur, and about the things that he's done. But before we get to him, let's talk about this new space that we're in as it relates to SPS coming out. I mean, dude, it's a great space to eat, hang out, but it's made for podcasts. I mean, you had us in mind when you put this together, man. Right. So talk about Midtown Brewing Company and what you've been doing with it over the past years.
Well, you're such a good interviewer, and I think that you just relate really well with the people and you tell good stories.
Thank you.
So when I was explaining to you what we had going on here at Midtown, I don't think you were aware of it, and I think a lot of our customers don't really know quite the depth of the investment that we make in here in time and energy and in thought. So Midtown's this great space that we have, 402 South Washington. Our staff is fantastic. Our kitchen's very creative. Everyone in here considers themselves to be an artist, whether their palette is going to be the plate that they put in front of you. Some of them are actually, artists on canvas, and some of the stuff that we see on the wall, most of the stuff you see on the wall is actually a product of our staff or some of our customers. We just feel we fill a really neat niche down here in Lansing, and we've invested in time to make sure that we hit on all five senses. We want it to smell right, feel right, taste right, look right, sound right. And so,
I can attest to all those things in my experience here.
So, we want it to be comfortable, and we love the fact how diverse our audience is: young, old, black, white, straight, gay, little kids, parents. Everybody's in there. You see a bachelor party in one corner, and little kids with coloring books in the other. So we just try to make sure that it's wide open. And so Angus, I've known his family for our entire life. He lives right in my backyard out in Langsburg, and I knew how invested he was in his cattle business. And sometimes the stuff we get from our distributors, if we really take a deep look at it, like with hamburger, for instance, that gets served to restaurants, sometimes it looks pretty questionable, and again, we know it is what it is, but...
And we just accept it, right?
Yeah, I'm from a rural community, so we're so used to getting a quarter of beef, or, we harvest our own deer or whatever, so we know what quality fresh meat looks like, and then so it's really hard for me to see what comes in on some of these supplier trucks and think, man, I feel really good about serving that to our customers. So Angus went through the process of getting USDA certified, and I knew what a great product he had, so we invited him in, and he's been providing us the hamburger here at Midtown for a couple years now, year and a half, probably, going on to 2 years.
Yeah, close to 2 years.
And and we just feel that it was the right move for us. It's locally sourced. We know that he's taking good care of the animals and what's going into them, and we know, and if you see the product, if you see the meat when it comes in, when we're pattying it out, whole different thing than what you would get if you were going to buy these pre-made patties like some of the restaurants serve, or that meat that comes in a tube.
Shawn, let me just interject. I know this, but for the questionable viewers who say, why put that into this when we know that the margins in restaurant business are slim? Clearly there's a premium that comes with that. Now, why do you even have to do that when you can serve other things?
So, I always say that we've been lucky. We've won life's lottery in Lansing. This community's been very good to me and to my family and to our staff and everyone else. So we take our responsibility seriously. I'm handing you something, you're going to digest this. You're going to take this into your body, right? And I'm handing it. So with that, comes a responsibility, the care, ownership. So we just decided that it was worth the investment, it was worth the time. But we don't think that, my partner Keith and I don't think that we ever took enough time explaining that story to our audience. A lot of people didn't know that we were making this extra investment and how much time and care Angus and his family puts into the product that shows up here at the restaurant. So when we were talking about that, I also said, there's this common theme in these interviews we were doing with athletes, and how the discipline and the experiences lead to successful successful lives and you know, pretty well-rounded people. And I was like, you know what? I've got the perfect guy.
Sure.
So let's jump into Angus's story.
Well,
Thank you very
that.
much for bringing me on.
Oh, no problem. So so let's talk about
Pleasure.
Angus's story, and you'll see where I'm going with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
sorry.
Well, first of all, before we go any further, Angus Arthur, your name is Angus and you're in the Angus business. Talk about that.
So it's just honestly ironic, but I just have like a Scottish name, so Angus Patrick Arthur. So my dad, like, he was farming, but he wasn't doing cattle really when he named me, so it kind of just worked out.
Okay. Well, you could have ran with, we're so committed to what's going on that I changed my name, or my name is this. But talk about, before you got in this seat in your business, talk about your life in sports, and you've been pretty accomplished too.
I went to St. John's High School, and we won a few like team state titles, and I won a few individual state titles.
As a wrestler.
Yeah, as a wrestler. Yeah, as a wrestler. And then I went on to like college, and eventually like I moved to the Olympic Training Center.
Wow.
So
Colorado Springs?
Yeah, Colorado Springs. And so my coach every day was Kevin Jackson. Like, he's from Lansing.
Yeah.
He won an Olympic gold.
Okay, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
But hold on for a second. I can appreciate your humility, but to just say I run a few titles and now I'm going to Colorado Springs, so you clearly were one of the most elite athletes around to be able to do that.
Yeah, I made, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 like USA World teams before. So 16 and under 2 times, and then I think I made 20 and under for like the alternate team. So yeah,
So
like I had
needless to
wrestled for the US.
You're not the guy we want to see in the back alley, Shawn, right?
No.
Well, but the story gets more interesting, so I'll let him add some depth to the rest of it.
Please do.
Yeah, so I guess what are you referring to exactly?
Well, how many blonde white guys do you know that represented Jamaica?
Yeah. So
Come on.
yeah, so I did wrestle for the U.S. And then I eventually, like, I wanted to help spread the sport, and like I thought I had been going to Jamaica my whole life, and like I had citizenship, so I decided to wrestle for them actually to like help spread the sport.
So what was that like? How were you received, and what happened with that?
It was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it was different. Like the training, like facilities were a little different, but like I did actually live at the USA training facilities, like for my last, I want to say like 8 months or so.
Wow.
But I trained, like I would go to Jamaica for like, you know, a month or so and help out with like wrestling there, and then I would come back. Like I was at Penn State for like 4 months. I was just here in like East Lansing for like probably 3 or 4 months, and then Colorado Springs for the majority of the time, which I really liked. So
And tell them where you got your speed while you were in Jamaica.
Oh yeah, like I mean, like there's one big gym in like Kingston, Jamaica, and so like all the sprinters, like the supermodels, they all go there.
Oh wow.
So I like got to meet like Usain Bolt and Johan Blake. And,
what?
Yeah, they like literally lifted next to me every day.
And I'm sure they they responded to you because you were so unique coming in there, so they knew who you were, huh?
Yeah, it was the one white guy. Yeah.
They're like, what's going on?
Yeah. So they were.
man.
Yeah, that was me. But that was. I mean, honestly, I've been blessed. I've got to travel a lot, like between Jamaica, like Barbados. We went there to like help spread wrestling, and then I wrestled like all over Europe, like Kazakhstan, Serbia, Russia,
And won a couple more
Hungary. Yeah. And so, long story short, I ended up winning the Pan Am Championships for like North and South America.
What?
And then the next week, like they have one tournament the one week, and then the next week is like the Olympic qualifiers. So I was doing pretty good at the Olympic qualifiers. I won 3 matches, and like I was in the match to make the Olympics, and I blew my knee out.
Man.
So yeah.
Does that stay with you a little bit?
Yeah.
You can imagine.
So talk about the transition. Now I'm putting my sports psychology hat. And Shawn, thank you for helping us highlight the great things Angus has accomplished. I can see he's a humble guy. He's not just going to run through the highlight reel. You owe Shawn some publicist credit too.
No,
Great
thanks,
publicist
Shawn.
get you out there. Talk about that transition from the unfortunate injury to deciding what you're going to do next and to be able to find success, after sport.
Yeah. I would say it's probably the hardest thing anyone would go through, because you essentially, like, that's what everyone knows you for, and that's kind of like your identity.
Yeah.
And so then, like, I didn't watch any sports for a year. Like, and I actually like college football best.
You couldn't. Why couldn't you watch sports?
I don't know. I think, like, I just knew my career was pretty much over, so I just wanted to, like, focus on something else, which actually it ended up working out really good.
So Mr. Humble here also didn't tell you that he also had an opportunity to be a running back at Purdue and Michigan State.
What?
Or Purdue, yeah.
Or Purdue, I'm
sorry.
Yeah,
I actually signed to Purdue to play football and wrestling.
You're going to be... It's a beast right here.
Yeah.
So, with the knee injury, is that what kind of prevented you kind of moving forward on that with football?
No. I just it actually was before all this NLI thing, and then I signed too early. So I actually signed like in the early signing period, and then like, if you do that, you can't play football for a year because, like, before, like, I think it was Bear Bryant, they would like sign football players on like the swim team because they could sign them like 3 months early.
Right.
So like the coaches didn't know, and then they wouldn't release me. It was before the NIL, so they're like, you have to come here or you have to go to like a Division III school.
Oh, man.
And so like at that point, I just spited them and I went Division III for a year.
Yeah. So talk about this transition now. You've had this traumatic experience. You talk about identity and focus on that. How do we get to the point where you got some of the best cattle, throughout the state and throughout the country right now?
Yeah. So when I moved back home, like, I honestly planned on going to law school. I had like a half year left of college, actually. So I came back and finished school, but my dad got sick. He was having a lot of heart issues.
What's your dad's name? Andy, okay.
Yeah. And so he was having a lot of heart issues, and so I decided, like, to not go to law school because I wanted to go to Alabama.
Sure.
And stay home and do the farming. And it actually worked out pretty good because, like, COVID happened, and then there was meat shortages.
Right.
And, like, that's actually how we started serving meat here. You literally just called me and you're like, hey, do you have meat today? Like, bring it down. And so that's how we started.
Shawn, when you made that call, was it out of pure necessity, or you knew there was a chance that you were going to be dealing with some premium type product?
No, he and I have been talking about it. I knew the quality because we actually had bought some of the beef, and I talked to my partner Keith, and I was like, if we could bring this in, it would kind of really set us apart in the market. And we brought it in, and we do feel like the product sets us apart, but we just feel like we've kind of shortchanged Angus and not explaining, the depth of the story behind the meat that we're serving. So that's why I thought this would be good today, and it's relevant to your audience that loves athletes and
absolutely.
And again, the transition story. I mean, how many of the people that we've talked to and that you've talked to that re-identifying yourself after you're putting the cleats away for the last time.
You're absolutely right. So, and I don't want to make a jump with this, and Shawn, I can appreciate you kind of putting us in this space. But Angus, I'll say this to you: talk about being a high-level elite athlete. How does that play into you having a high-level elite product? Is there some similarity as far as expectation, and also when you talk about identity, where you were known as this guy who was so much in wrestling compared to kind of still having the same kind of reputation in a different space? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, wrestling is one of the toughest sports, and like, it's all on you essentially, like what you put into it. Yeah, it's not a team sport, and so like that aspect like makes you work really hard, but sometimes like actually a thing that I've kind of struggled with is like having employees that I have to rely on. Like, I have really good employees, but just like sometimes just like because I always was in control like completely, so sometimes it can be a little frustrating for me.
They say great ball players are the worst coaches because they're like, why can't you just do it, man?
Everyone asked me to coach, and I was like, no. I was like, I think I'd be a horrible coach, honestly. I was like, and the way I wrestled wasn't.
So let me ask you, what advice can you give someone who may be on the cusp of where you've been, Angus, where doing great things, but there's this fork in the road, there's this injury, there's this life experience that kind of leads them to that down year for a year? What advice would you give someone who's kind of getting ready to make a decision about where they want to go and what they want to do next, after sport?
I mean, it's tough, like, because at some point points, like I just wanted to like work 24/7 to like not think about wrestling, or instead of watching football games on Saturday like I always did growing up, I would just work Saturday. I'd just work for like 14 hours. So I think just like surrounding yourself with good people, and then like just finding other things you like. Like I like golfing now, so like other things you can do that are competitive. That's one of the things that's unfortunate for wrestling, is because you can't really do it for fun. Like it's not really something.
This dude always grabbing me, man. What's
yeah, like I'm gonna go wrestle someone for fun. Not really a thing.
Right.
So it's been good. Shawn, you've done a great job, and I know you don't look for accolades, as bringing people together. Why is it so important to try to bring people together? That's not about the bottom line for your business. That's not about being high profile. But why is that so important to you?
Well, there's that old motto that, rising tides lift all ships. We have so much exposure in Lansing, not just downtown, but in the entire market. And again, I feel like God's, looked favorable on us, where not everything we have to do has to turn into my mortgage payment. So this place here is kind of labor of love. We spend a little extra time. We're at that end of the block that could go either way. We have the CATA station, we have the library, and we have the liquor store. So if we didn't have a positive light in this spot, we'd feel like dark maybe had taken over.
Yeah, you're right.
So we spend a little extra time, and we kind of forego some of the profit decisions that you would typically make in a restaurant like this. And eventually, this end of the block is catching up. But if we were to put the same constraints on this as you would hope to, on your profit and loss statement, aiming for the bottom line, we just wouldn't be able to offer this experience. We wouldn't have the staff that our staff is just so wonderful at greeting you. It's a really cool place if you need to come and just talk to somebody or hang out or do whatever, enjoy some good food.
I have a podcast.
So we spend more time and money with our kitchen staff, and we let them be creative. And we know everybody. This place is just an extension of all of the talents of our people. It's not me. It's not. We just kind of keep the train on the tracks, but they're the ones running the engine.
I appreciate your humility, but leadership is reflected in the people that work for you. Angus, I'll let you have some of the final comments. Talk about why someone should want to get your product, as it relates to the great work you're doing, and why someone want to connect with you going forward.
Well, I think the most important thing is like knowing what you're eating, where it comes from, and so like that's something we offer. Like we encourage people to come out to like our farm and like see how we raise the cattle, how they're treated, like how they look, because like a lot of times you go to places where like chickens or whatever, and it's just like dirty,
I wouldn't want
it's just like I probably wouldn't eat that. And so I think like that's really important. And also like just the quality, the genetics of the cattle, like we spend a lot of money for to get the highest genetics. Like I mean that's the most important thing for the cattle. So I think like right now the bull we're using like on our cows, like to produce like steers and stuff like that, I want to say it sold for $750,000.
What?
Yeah. And so just for like a semen straw to put it in a cow is $50.
So you got like the Seabiscuit of bulls.
No, I don't have that bull. That's actually Charles Herbster. He works with like Trump's like agriculture something with him, but he owns that. So we just are using those genetics.
That's how it works. You put the best breeding stock together. So when he was first putting his business together, again we're in the backyard. And, he used to work out in my garage, and we were talking more. And one day I see him. He's coming back from New Brunswick, Canada, because I found exactly what he was looking for up there. So the product that he has is after generations. When we say generations as far as the cow's life cycle goes. So they've gone through to really get something good in their product, and they keep molding it. But because he is an athlete and he knows the importance of nutrition and everything else, I knew that he would put that same care into what he's feeding animals that we're going to be serving at the restaurant. So.
Well, he shares some items that I'll put up on the screen that people can see now. They look wonderful. I can only imagine.
Yeah, you should put some up after they're cooked or ask them for some. Yeah, they look good.
Okay. How can people connect with you?
They can, honestly, the best way is to call us or text us, 517-755-8155.
Or, of course, they can always come to Midtown and sample the
Yeah,
product
or they can come here. Yeah, exactly.
Midtown's a place
No, but
to be.
one last thing I would like to say that we really appreciate the business here at Midtown and how you guys serve the product and the cooks and everything like that. So it's been a really good relationship.
It's good both ways, and we appreciate it. So, I told you, he's just like cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
So I knew I had a
1
feeling
mile
this would
apart.
go.
Yeah.
I had a feeling this would go well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it did. So.
You've been speaking so highly of you for so long. I'm glad to finally sit down and meet with you. Well, Angus, I appreciate you and all
very
that
nice
you
to
do. I
meet
know
you.
we're going to be connected some more, Shawn. I'm
Yeah,
going to tell you
as always.
how much I appreciate you. We're at it again at the Midtown Brewing Company. Come on down. Enjoy this experience. It's great from top to bottom. You'll love it. And with that being said, Lindsay Hudson with SPS, and we'll see you next time. Peace.